The rain beat softly against the tall glass windows of the Joint Military Academy auditorium. Recruits filled the seats, fresh uniforms, straight backs, nerves hiding behind stoic faces. They were waiting for the guest of honor. The doors opened. General Osei walked in, a man whose medals clinked with every step, followed by a small entourage of officers. One of the recruits leaned toward his friend and whispered,
"Who's speaking today? I thought it was supposed to be the defense minister." Ivan, they changed the schedule. I heard someone bigger is coming.
Before the reply could come, General Osei stepped up to the podium.
Good evening, officers. Today, we gather not to discuss tactics or discipline, but to learn from the legacy of one of the greatest soldiers this armed force and this world has ever known. Captain Mara Duvall, the Iron Falcon.
Is I Iron Falcon? The Iron Falcon? I thought half of her story was classified.
Yeah.
More like myth. And tonight, you will hear the true account, not the rumors, not the legends, the reality. What you're about to hear is a story of resilience, strategy, and sacrifice and victory carved out of the darkest corners of war. For in her footsteps, you will understand what it truly means to be a soldier.
If you've made it this far into the story, you're clearly one of us, someone who loves powerful characters, rich worlds, and the kind of storytelling that keeps you thinking long after the scene ends. If you want to be here when the next chapter drops, hit that subscribe button and join our growing community. Your support helps us keep building stories worth getting lost in. Mara Duvall wasn't born with an iron will, she built it, piece by piece. She grew up in a coastal town where storm winds rattled the rooftops and fishermen's families lived by the mercy of the tides. Her father, a retired engineer, raised her alone after her mother's passing. He taught her two things. Never fear the storm. Always respect the sea, asterisk asterisk. As a teenager, she joined the local rescue corps, pulling stranded swimmers from violent waves. It was there she learned calm under pressure, patience, and the kind of courage that didn't come from pride, but responsibility. Years later, when war erupted across multiple borders, she joined the military without hesitation. Her instructors noticed her immediately. She wasn't the fastest or the strongest, but she could endure. She could observe. And she had the rare ability to predict danger before it unfolded. Her rise through the ranks became inevitable. But her true test came when she was assigned to Task Force Meridian, an elite multinational unit formed to respond to the growing insurgent threat spreading across Ridgepoint Valley. Their mission: stop the insurgents before they seized 3 bordering nations. And at the center of it all was Mara. Act 2, The Call to Ridgepoint. Task Force Meridian arrived at Ridgepoint during the cold season. Frost covered the shrubs. Smoke rose in the distance. The valley lay carved between jagged hills, filled with hidden trenches and enemy movement. On the first night, Mara gathered her platoon around a dim map-lit table. Lieutenant Ramos. We've counted at least 4 trench lines, snipers in the north, and 2 confirmed mortar pits. A frontal push is suicide. Sergeant Liss. And the air support got shot down last week. We're blind up there. Mara studied the map, silent. Then she tapped a point near a narrow ravine, the Serpent's Crevice. Mara. We're not going through the trenches. We're going around them. Her soldiers exchanged glances. Ramos. That ravine collapses every dry season. It's unstable. Mara. Which is exactly why they won't expect us to take it. There was a moment of tension, then slow nods. Her plan was dangerous, but precise. That night, under thick cloud cover, Mara led her team through the ravine. Rocks shifted beneath their boots. Loose gravel slid down the slopes. Every sound echoed like a warning. Halfway through, Liz whispered. Liz. You ever scared, Captain? Mara. Of failing my people? Yes. Of the enemy? Never. And they pushed on. When they emerged behind the insurgent trench line, Mara raised her hand and signaled the silent advance. Her team moved like shadows, swift, coordinated, unseen. By sunrise, Ridgepoint's first stronghold fell. And the myth of the Iron Falcon began. Over the next weeks, Mara led a series of operations that shifted the conflict's momentum. 1. Operation Nightglass. A nighttime infiltration where Mara predicted enemy patrol patterns by studying the flicker of distant lanterns. Her platoon captured an ammo depot without firing a shot. 2. The Siege of Blackroot Farm. The insurgents trapped villagers inside a fortified farmhouse. Mara ordered her snipers to fire at precise structural points to create an escape route, saving 60 civilians while neutralizing the hostile forces. 3. The Frozen Ridge Battle. A brutal fight high in the mountains where her unit nearly froze in sub-zero temperatures. Mara kept them alive using emergency heat packs, rationed fuel, and morale built through constant presence. Her soldiers trusted her more with each passing day. But the enemy noticed. And they prepared their deadliest counterattack. It came without warning. At 2:14 a.m. Mortars rained from the sky, shaking the ground like thunder. Tents collapsed. Alarms blared. Soldiers scrambled for cover. Mara sprinted through the chaos, pulling wounded troops out of the blast zone. Ramos. Yelling over explosions. They've surrounded the north and east. We're boxed in. Mara. Then we break the box. Under her command, the battalion reorganized into defensive circles, firing methodically, refusing to collapse. She noticed enemy units using the darkness as cover, so she ordered all floodlights activated. The valley burst into blinding white, exposing hostile forces. Her counterattack began. She moved like a storm, directing fire lines, coordinating medics, calling evacuation routes. Her calm was the eye within the hurricane. By dawn, the entire plain lay silent. The insurgent attack had failed. The cost was heavy, but victory stood. The war shifted. Intelligence revealed the command center hidden beneath Blackstone Ridge, a granite mountain fortified with tunnels and steel plating. Mara was chosen to lead the infiltration. Inside the mountain, darkness swallowed sound. Traps lined the corridors. Explosives were wired to pressure plates. Mara guided her team through every deadly turn. When they reached the command room, they found the insurgent general waiting, cold, expressionless, surrounded by shattered maps. He stared at her. General. You are the Iron Falcon. Mara. No. I'm just the soldier who came to end this. The battle that followed was swift and brutal. Mara disarmed him with a single decisive strike and secured the command codes that ended all hostile operations across the valley. The war began to collapse, and so did the insurgent forces. When Mara returned home, the world hailed her as a symbol of courage, strategy, and unbroken will. But she remained humble, visiting the families of fallen soldiers, spending time at military rehabilitation centers, and teaching new recruits the art of leadership. She never sought glory. She sought peace. Epilogue, back to the briefing room. General Osei finished speaking. The recruits sat silent, overwhelmed.
What makes a great soldier is not power, nor fearlessness, it is responsibility. And she carried all three. Remember, when you face your own battles, big or small. The legacy of the Iron Falcon lived on.